for sure.
Let us remain in the SEC neutral site game. Georgia and Florida. Georgia is a 50.5-point favorite. This was higher in preliminary lines, but you come to this week, Brock Bowers is not playing. Georgia, we don't exactly know what the offense will look like. Oscar Delp is the next guy up, but do you run more 11 personnel as opposed to 12, as in one tight end on the field rather than two? Is this Lawson Lucky time? He had a similar injury to Brock Bowers, but is now back. Does he get blended into the offense more? Lots of questions that will not be answered until we actually see them play.
Yes, but I do suspect them to go more 11 personnel. So one of the big kind of question marks, at least until 2 weeks ago, was Georgia's ability to run the ball, provide cushion for their backs. Missing someone like Darnell Washington was palpable. It turns out, Andy, having a 6'8", 280-pound tight end helps the run game a little bit. So without him in the fold, they weren't as stout providing cushion. And even though Brock Bowers is a do-it-all tight end, what do I mean by that, folks? He can run, he can block, he can catch. A lot of people want to forget about that second part, but when he's a lead blocker on the edge or, pulling through the line and sealing people, he's just been fantastic no matter what you've been asking him to do. That's now off the table. So I don't know exactly how that helps the eclectic run game. So over the last couple of years, no matter who's been the play caller, they don't like to hammer anyone look too much. They like to sprinkle a lot of little things, but that requires, your players to execute those things, know what to do. So with Delp in there, with Lucky maybe playing some more snaps, I just think they go a little bit more streamlined to 11 personnel. I think this game is going to be a very basic approach in who can tackle better in space. So Carson Beck, he's been a fantastic decision maker. He hasn't necessarily been a quarterback that lets them stretch the ball downfield all the time, but still he has made fantastic decisions, whether it is throwing off to the flat, hitting a guy on like an 11-yard curl, or being prudent on throwing the ball into harm's way. So when they were playing Kentucky 2 weeks ago and they just were dumping it off in the flat and Kentucky secondary missed 16 tackles, it was really easy for them to stay ahead of the change and in very advantageous opportunities. And that opened up the play action games. Of course, there was one instance, it was like 3rd and 2. And then it was like a play action wide open cross to Bowers. You're like, how you can let that guy wide open? Well, it's because they're trying to stop the run, because they were just so balanced and keeping opponents guessing. And of course, on the other side of the ball, that has been Graham Mertz's kind of concern. How can he maximize his consistency with his potency? Of course, we already mentioned playing a secondary like South Carolina's can grease the bottom line a little bit, but of course, that is not Georgia's problem. They are very, very good defending the pass, Andy. A very stout defensive line providing pressure and havoc type of instances where he has been, quick to throw it towards the flat. Well, Georgia's also a lot better tackling than a lot of other teams. So I just think just because how Georgia is set up to succeed, both staying ahead of the chains on offense and, keeping everything in front of them and getting the third down, as well as hardly any SEC defense to this point, it's just really tough to think how Florida can maximize or manufacture those plays that can keep them in the game and within striking distance.
We'll be right back with more picks, but first, let me tell you about Game Time. Do you want to go to a big game this weekend, to a concert, to a comedy show? Is it sold out? Doesn't matter. Game Time has those tickets. You want to go to the Florida-Georgia game? Want to go to Jacksonville, the world's largest outdoor cocktail party? You can go. You can actually get in for under $100 at Game Time as of Monday morning. You go, search Florida football, search Georgia football, click on the game, and you can pick your seat in the stadium in Jacksonville. It'll show you exactly what your vantage point would be. Couple clicks, it's yours. Now, what if you want to go to Rice-Eccles Stadium in Salt Lake City to watch Oregon play Utah? That is a bit tougher ticket, but guess what? They still got plenty on Game Time. Search Utah football, click on the game, find your seat, 2 taps, and you're done. Redeem the code STAPLES at Game Time for $20 off your first purchase. Download the Game Time app, redeem the code STAPLES, $20 off your first purchase, stress-free last-minute tickets. Game Time has it all. And against South Carolina, what worked for them, obviously Pearsall had the amazing catch on 4th and 10 and had the touchdown. But
you like that little double move, huh?
I did.
Yeah.
But Arliss Boardingham, their tight
He's
end,
emerging tight end. Yeah, I know.
did a very good job. He had one play where he had to convert it, caught the ball
Flat route. It
before
was
the
like
sticks, made a move, converted it, got a first down. I like what he's doing. They're trying to force feed Eugene Wilson III. They call him Trey.
He's so fast. I mean, I think that's the difference maker in that scheme is just getting a little bit more speed on the field, because a lot of it, as you can see behind my shoulder here, it's flood oriented, and like that, it kind of matters when you can have guys that can bend and get that step on somebody laterally, because you can hit them in stride. Those 15-yard completions can turn into 31 yards like that. But if you just can't create that separation, they're just a little bit harder to manufacture. But with him, I don't see why they don't target him a little bit more, because he's
I think they're going to.
The speed.
They went into the Tennessee game clearly with a plan to absolutely force feed him. Then he gets hit very hard, hurts his collarbone, and you don't see him for a few weeks. And I think that's been the problem, is they've tried to work him into the flow of the offense. He hasn't gotten enough reps to consistently be a big part of it. Now he is getting those numbers of reps, and I do think they're going to be a little bit better because of that. You're going to have to take a lot of risks if you're Billy Napier if you want to win this game. You're going to have to let Graham Mertz cook, which I'm sure is something Wisconsin fans are like, do what now? But you saw it against South Carolina. Now, again, that's South Carolina's defense. This is Georgia's defense. But your best chance, maybe letting him let it rip a little bit. He's been fairly prudent with the ball as well.
Very prudent. League low, turnover-worthy play rate. Forget about play rate. So
one turnover worthy play so far this year, right?
No. There are varying definitions, of course, for what a turnover worthy play is. No, Andy, if like, let's just think if you were to hit Marcus Dial in both biceps with the ball, and your defender is like, or your intended target is 2 yards behind that defender, I would say that would be an interceptable, turnover-worthy pass. But some people, well, no. Also, it's an underthrown ball. It wasn't just someone who just jetted in front of a dig or anything. No, this is a purely underthrown ball on the inside hip of a inside bender post go, whatever you wanted to categorize that. But yeah, and if you hit a defender on the ass, and just because he doesn't turn around and play the ball, you should not be rewarded for that stuff. We just saw a great example, and it actually did end up in an interception, but this was in the Tennessee Alabama game.
Off of Jermaine Burton's shoulder. Yeah.
Where our homeboy turns around and just, does that nice like post defense type of move. It deflects off of him and it ends up in an interception. Just because he himself did not intercept that ball does not mean that the location of the pass itself was not turnover worthy. That if you do that play 8 times out of 10, it could not potentially result in an interception. So you have to keep those plays in mind. But regardless of what your definition is, Andy, dead lowest in the SEC. He has not put the ball in the harm's way. He has been fantastic in that regard. And again, if you are going to be a conservative, don't go broke, or you can't go broke taking a profit type of quarterback, that absolutely has to go hand in hand where you don't put the ball in the harm's way, because if you're not providing a lot of potency and you're putting the ball in the harm's way, that's just no. But if you are, again, taking those 6-8-yard completions and, not giving defenses a reason to get you off the field, all the better. But I just don't think it's going to be a great matchup for the Gators to, one, stay ahead of the chains, or potentially get those big plays if they take the handcuffs off of Mertz.
Yeah, the problem when you're playing Georgia is they're usually such good tacklers that they're going to give you those 6 to 8 yard.
It's almost a design. I mean, it's been kind of out for a couple of years now.
Because they know you're going to miss a throw or drop one, and then all of a sudden you're behind the chains, and then they come get you.
Very much. Or they just feel that their safety sitting in his too high perch can beat your guy to the flat and minimize, a 1 yard completion to 3 yards at most, and not giving you like 5 or 6 beyond that point. After that, that engagement point, because they are such good tacklers and preventing that type of hidden yardage. And again, it's a little bit by design. They want to kind of trick you to think it's open and to just beat you to the spot with their athleticism and awesome technique.
Yeah. I don't know that Georgia's going to do a whole lot. We've seen historically when Kirby feels like he has a talent advantage or an advantage period, that he's fairly vanilla.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't be surprised in the second half if they just, take the air out of the ball and they just do their duo, which they have done in the past. Not so much this season. It does go a little bit hand in hand because of how they haven't been able to push people around as consistently as they have liked. But again, without Bowers in the fold, would not surprise you whatsoever if they just streamline their run game to 2, 3 type of concepts, run those over and over. Obviously, have some plenty play action counters to take advantage of over aggressive back enders there. But yeah, I wouldn't expect them to do anything too crazy. Not too many double passes or anything like that. I wouldn't expect from Georgia.
And this is going to be an interesting kind of gauge for the Florida defense. And the way I'm looking at Florida this year is not, are you winning games like this? I don't expect them to go win a game like this. I don't expect them to compete with Georgia in a game like this. It's how good are your young players playing as they get bigger roles, and how competitive are they against their counterparts on a team like this? Because I think that's how you judge Florida, because you look at, like, they just got a commitment from LJ McCray.
Yeah.
Big time commit. They have a class coming in that you stack it with last year's class. You let some of those guys get some seasoning. Then that's how you get out of this. And so that's what I'm looking at for them. Like, I want to see what Shamar James does in this game. He's been outstanding all year. And he's a guy that Georgia wanted him. You hadn't seen as many under Dan Mullen. There weren't a lot of battles where Georgia and Florida wanted the same guy and Florida got him. So this is the difference, but it's not an overnight thing, and it could be kind of painful to watch it happen in real time. But that's the part I want to see, is how those guys compete. I think Georgia covers here, Clark. I just see the boa constrictor squeeze coming. And look, the offense for Florida did look good against South Carolina, but I think so will everybody else's.
Yeah, I do agree. I think Georgia is the pick here, but I will say Florida's path to success is not unlike the one they had against Tennessee, where they're able to turn disadvantageous box numbers into their advantage, where they were able to have less guys in the box than the offense and yet consistently shut down the run game. If they can get Georgia behind the chains and make Carson Beck a true drop back passer on pure passing situations, I think they're going to be able to be a little bit more keep things a lot more close. But it's easier said than done. Again, Georgia has been one of the best early down offenses, not only in the SEC, but in the country, because of how they're putting the game into Beck's hands, and he's been able to make great decisions. But if they are able to think things close, that is how they do it. They win early downs, and they let their big boys up front push back the pocket just a little bit.
Well, we will see how it unfolds in Jacksonville, world's largest outdoor cocktail party. Yeah, you can call it that. Thank you so much for watching. Just a reminder, subscribe to this channel right here so you never miss an episode of Andy Staples On 3. And oh, by the way, watch all the other great videos on the On 3 Sports YouTube channel.